Coming up on Look Today, well, the late Ed Louie is inducted into the Walk of Fame at SPAC. I've got details. And Glens Falls applies for a $2 million grant to renovate its water tanks. More on that coming up. Plus, many from our upstate region prepare for what could be one of the hottest heat waves in history. We've got those details. It's all ahead on Look Today. Welcome everyone, I'm Jay Hood Jackson and this is Look Today. In tonight's program I sit down with Lisa Balchonot. She's a chairperson for Grandma's Table and she's here to talk about the upcoming farm-to-table dinner experience in Glens Falls. This is to raise awareness for the many fresh farm and whole food options in the area. And I'm on location with Diane O'Connor. Now, she's the assistant to the president of the Ticonderoga Historical Society, and we talk about the rich history of the Hancock House and the event happening this weekend. Plus, we've got your weather for the Tri-North counties, but first, these headline stories. Well, in our lead story, Saratoga's most famous public relations executive, the late Ed Louie, was honored last night at SPAC. Now, as Ed was inducted into the Walk of Fame, he rose from media director of the 1980s Olympic Winter Games to the chief public relations person, not only for SPAC, for Saratoga Racetrack as well. And Ed Louie remained a fixture in Saratoga's social scene, I bet better part of 50 years. This is despite struggling in the later years with Parkinson's disease. Now, as fate would have it, Ed, in typical Ed fashion, passed away last year on Travers Day. Well, we spoke to Marcia White. She's the president of SPAC.
Well, Ed Louie is someone who not only promoted SPAC and the Saratoga Racetrack, he promoted Saratoga. He was the heart and soul of everything that happened here, and anything you see in Saratoga on Broadway, the Performing Arts Center, he had his hand in it.
Tonight's Lookout is going to be about Ed as well. In other news, well, this week, our upstate region will experience the longest heat wave of the whole summer. As temperatures increase into the mid-90s, many are finding ways to beat the heat. Many people are staying close to water. This is good, whether it's kayaking, fishing, or going to a water park. Now, the heat index, that's a measure of heat and humidity, is forecast to be 100 degrees. The weather advisory warns those who are susceptible to stress and health issues caused by extreme hot weather to be very wary. The weather advisory has determined temperatures to be in the danger zone. Now, for a more detailed look at our weather and what this means, we're going to head to the Glens Falls Weather Center for a look at your first forecast. Back to the news. Well, we've got an update on a story we covered starting way back in March. The Department of Health recently recommended to the city of Glens Falls that they refurbish and update the two water tanks. A new protective coating has to be applied to the outside as well as a thorough inspection on the inside. In order for them to do these updates, the isolation valve that allows one tank to be empty at a time had to be replaced. The city is seeking a $2 million grant to go toward a potential $3.5 million renovation project. The estimated cost for this project was determined at the last Common Council meeting on Tuesday in Glens Falls. Now, the city of Glens Falls is not obligated to move forward with this project if the grant is not approved. Well, we're going to keep you updated on this story, obviously, as we get any more information. And in other news, speaking of water, reports on PFOA contamination in drinking water in Hoosick Falls has raised many concerns in our area. Reports now show that 27 of the 126 well water samples taken from southern Washington County have shown traces of PFOA contamination above acceptable levels determined by the state health and environmental officials. So we're going to keep you updated on this story as well, especially if this contamination affects our Tri-North County area. Up next, I sit down with Lisa Balchonot. Well, she's the chairperson for Grandma's Table. This is a cool event. She's here to talk about the upcoming farm-to-table dinner experience in Glens Falls. That's going to raise awareness for the many farm, fresh, and whole food options in the area. I also am on location with Diane O'Connor. She's assistant to the president of the Ticonderoga Historical Society. She's here to talk about the rich history of the Hancock House and a very cool event happening this weekend. But first, if you see news happening, you want to share a story idea, how about join us for an interview? Give us a call on the hotline. The number is 798-8000. Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of Look Today. I got one look out tonight, and it goes to Ed Louie. First met Ed and Maureen Louie, 1975. I was a young buck, and I was hired by SPAC to book their concerts and to run the theater. And Ed was one of the first persons that I met. And he was on fire. I swear to God, I used to say to Ed, you know, when you sleep, Ed, what do? Jump in place? He was always on the go and always had a heart bigger than his body. And it was about a year ago that he passed away, and I spoke about it at that time. But today I called Maureen Louie, and just Ed's the kind of person that you just never forget. So I think it is a really well-earned tribute that he's in that walk of fame. Tonight on Look TV, it's sold. That's our call-in auction program. Great estate jewelry and coins. Don't forget, you can tune in tomorrow night for the stories that matter to you. Good night, everyone.